You can see a Jerry heparin question now. Hello?
Yes.
Yes, I see it. Yes, we see it.
Okay. So let's start with the first one. All right. And again, I always start with what the question asked me, which this one's asking how many mLs per hour will deliver the correct dose. So when you read that statement, what does that tell you that the formula should be?
Desired over half.
The
Desired
dose over half times quantity. Okay.
So desired over half. That's it. Okay. That's simple. So what do you have on hand? What's given here? What do you have on hand?
Um, 10,000 units in a 500 ml.
So you have 10,000 units and 500 ml.
Yes.
And your desired dose is 900 units per hour. You know, to make more sense if you write it out, you have to end up with mLs per hour. You can see the whiteboard.
Yes.
Oh, it's 500. My bad.
I was about to say 250. Okay.
My bad. My bad. That's just the brain. Brain's always working super fast, so I got to always slow it down. 500, right? Okay. So when you write it out like this, then you know, okay, I'm crossing out my units. That's going to leave me with mLs per hour. I have to be able to see that in my formula somewhere. All right. And then the rest of it's just math. So you know 10,000 is not going to go into 900. This first number is going to be 0 point something. And then you're going to multiply that times the 500. That's just basic little steps to keep you in line. Like, am I doing the math right? So the first part of the answer was 0 0.09. And then we multiply that times our 500. You get something different, or if you see me make a mistake, please point it out, because I'm human. I make mistakes, just like you guys do. It's just slowing down, taking your time. So what'd you get when you did all that?
I got 45.
I got 45 too.
Perfect, because I got 45 too. So somebody's doing something right, because we all want to get 45, right? Any questions on that?
Ms. Loesch, I didn't do the 0 point. I just did 900 divided by 10,000 times 500.
Okay, but I'm just trying to show you that if you take the steps, okay, because a lot of times you're rushing, you don't take all the steps, then you miss steps and you get the problem wrong.
Okay.
It's not that you don't know the math, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it's not that you don't know the math. You're just not taking the steps the way you should.
So how many ml?
Okay, let's look at the second one here. Again, it's saying how many mLs will deliver the correct amount of heparin. Well, the correct amount of heparin is your what? What is that? This means the same thing as what?
The desired overdose.
Your dose. This is the same as your dose, right? Because that's what you're giving is your dose, right? I want you to see that, because that tells you my formula for this then is going to be what? If I'm administering a dose, desired over half, correct. Okay, so what do you have on hand?
1,000. Administer, mixed bag, 4,000 units in a 1,000 liter W. So we have 4,000
so you
units.
have 40,000 units per 1,000 mLs, right?
Yes.
Everybody see that? Doesn't matter how this is written. You have to be able to see that that's there right here. Okay, right here it says that you have 40,000 units in 1 liter. So that means you have 40,000 units per 1,000
1,000.
mLs. Okay, because
Okay,
that needs
yeah.
to be in mLs in order for you to end up in mLs per hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your desired dose?
1,000.
Okay, good. So it's going to be the same principle here then.
40,000.
Your desired dose
40.
is 1,000, right?
Yes.
On hand, you have 40,000. And remember, I'm sorry, this should be units.
It's okay.
That should
Yeah.
be units, okay? That's important for you to know that. Why does that need to be units? Because that's what's going to cross out to give you your mLs per hour, okay? So just make sure when you write it, you see there, again, I'm Russian and I don't have it written right. Please tell me when I do that. That's telling me that you're learning. I don't care that I made a mistake. If you're able to pick up on it, that's a great and valuable tool. Okay, I'm only human. You're only human. We all make mistakes. So it's 40,000 per 1,000 mLs, right? And this is per hour. Okay, so that's what's going to give you this hours per ml. So this crosses out, that crosses out. Again, this doesn't go into here, so it's going to be 0.0 something or 0.1 something.
0.25.
Okay, is that what it was?
I mean, that's what I got. Yes.
Okay, that was right, 0.025. And then we're multiplying that times our 1,000 because that's our vehicle, right?
Yeah,
No, but I just got 0.25.
the answer is 2.5 because you got to multiply with 1,000.
Okay, 1,000 is what we have on hand, right? 40,000 is, let's just go back and make sure we have the right numbers up here. Then I'll do the math again. All right, so we have 40,000 and 1,000, and our order is 4,000 units an hour. All right, so 1,000 divided by 40,000. I got 0.025. Did somebody else get something different?
I got that too. 0.025 times
I
1,000
got it.
makes it 25. Right?
Okay, and that gave us 25. So that should be your answer is 25 mLs per hour.
Per hour.
Oh,
Okay.
25.
I would just always recommend you go back and do the math twice. Just because you make little mistakes. Like your problem was you put in 4,000 instead of 40,000.
Yep.
You did math right, you just put the wrong number in. Okay, let's look at the next one. All right, so this one says, what hourly dose of heparin is the patient receiving? Okay, so in order for you to calculate this problem, you know that he's getting 28 mLs per hour. You have to determine how many units are in each ml. Okay, so you have 20,000 units in 500 mLs. That means you have 40 units per ml.
Then you times it by that.
And then it's running at, what did we say, 28?
The problem went away. I can't see it.
Yeah, 20. So then would you times that by
Yes, then
28?
you have to take your 40 times your 28.
Okay.
And your client should be receiving 1,120 units per hour.
Can you put the problem back up, Ms. Loesch?
This is this one here. I'm sorry. It's this one here.
Okay. All right, so 20,000.
We good?
Get 40. Okay, hold on. 40 times 28 is 1120. Okay. Why do it seem so easy like that?
All right, look at the next one. Again, it's asking you what hourly dose of heparin is the patient receiving, or it might ask you how many units per hour is the patient receiving. That means the same thing. Okay? So hourly dose of heparin, you know how many mLs is there. So next thing is calculate how many units per ml you have. So you have 25,000 units in 250 ml.
Into 250. 25,000 divided by 250. You get 100. I remember the other number.
I believe it was 11. But let's go back and just make sure.
So 100 times 11.
Okay, it was going at 11.
Calculator.
All right, so you should get 1,100 units
Yep.
per hour. Okay, now this is asking you what is the flow rate you will set the IV pump in, okay?
Okay,
When it says that to you, it's asking you for the flow rate you're going to set the IV pump to in mLs per hour. Then you have to go back to the question and see what's given in the question, because these questions can ask you for this information and it could be two different calculations here. All right.
So
It might
18,
ask you, can you please listen? Because if you're talking,
okay.
other people can't hear you. It might ask you this question and it might only give you volume and the number of hours. In this question, you see a lot more information, right? So this is a desired over half question. How do you know that? Because you have a desired dose ordered here, and you have what you have on hand, and you have a weight. So this is a weight-based desired over half question. Okay, so I want you to take everything out of the question, because when I go to the whiteboard, I'm not going to come back to the problem. So first thing I want you to write down is the weight, 172 pounds. Next thing is, what do you have on hand? So what do you have on hand?
25,000 units by 500.
Okay, and then what is your desired dose?
18 units times the kilograms times the hour.
All right, now that's very important that you look at that, okay? Because sometimes when you see these questions, it might ask you per minute. This one says per hour. And since you're going to end up with mLs per hour, you don't have to do any conversion here with the time. So don't put that step in. Okay? It's important that you look for this stuff when you read the question. All right. So everybody has their numbers, right? Okay, so what we have on hand is 25,000 units per 500 ml, correct?
Yes. You divide, okay, divide.
What we are going to end up with is mLs per hour. We have 172 pounds. We're going to divide that by 2.2. And we're going to multiply whatever we get there times our ordered dose, which is 18 units per kilogram per hour. Leave everything in your calculator. Start with the 172 and divide that by the 2.2, which should give you
78.18.
78.18. Okay, that's infinity. Leave it all in your calculator and multiply that whole number times your 18.
Okay.
And that is your desired dose. So you're going to put on here, I'm just going to write the 1407.27, but you're going to leave the whole thing in your calculator. That recognizes infinity, and it's this amount of units per hour. Okay, this is going to cross out. This is going to cross out. You'll be left with mLs per hour. Now you're just taking that 1407, that entire number, all those 2 sevens. I don't care if there's 20 of them. Leave them in there. You're dividing that whole thing by the 25,000.
Times the 500.
Correct.
28.14.
Okay, 28.14. Now, if I told you to round this to the nearest tenth, what would the answer be?
Oh, this is where I fuck up.
Say it again.
This is where I messed up. 28.1.
Okay, what if I said
28.1.
round it to the nearest decimal?
28.1.
What if I said round it to a whole number?
28.
And what if I said round it to the nearest 100?
28.14.
28.15, actually, because that next number on there was a 5, right?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even see you put that in. Okay.
I added that
28.15.
in just now because technically, if I were asking you to round it to the nearest 100th, I would have had to have that number there for you to know that.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that was part of your ending calculation, but you didn't need it because normally I would say here, either round it to the nearest tenth or round it to the nearest whole number.
Okay.
Okay, next one's the same way. It's asking you what flow rate you will set the pump to. You notice that here it's got your given. So this is what you have on hand. You have your patient's weight and you have a desired order and it's units per kilogram per hour. So no conversion necessary here because you have units here and units here. You have hour here and you're going to end up in mLs per hour. And these are the things that you need to look at. That's what tells you whether or not you need to convert. So here you're just going to do desired over half. The only difference here is your desired dose is not calculated until you take what the doctor ordered times your weight. Okay, so we start with taking the numbers out. Our weight is 198. What we have on hand is 12,500 per 500. I mean per 250, and our order is 16 units per kilogram per hour.
So would it be 1440?
Everybody have all that written down? Does everybody have all that written down?
Yes.
Thank you. Let's go to the whiteboard. If you have the answer, great for you, but we're going to work it out for those that aren't sure yet. Okay, so again, on hand, we got 12,500 per 250 ml. Our weight is 198. We're going to divide that by 2.2. And then we're going to multiply that times our 16 units per kilogram per hour. So that gave us 90. That times the 16, that gave us 1440. Crossing out the units, that will leave us with mLs per hour. And now you just have to do the math. So we're going to divide it by the 12,500 and multiply it times the 250. And that should give you 28.8. Okay, was everybody able to get there? Any questions on that one?
Yes, if you would have asked us to round this number to the nearest 10.
Okay, what number did you end up with in your calculator?
I got 28.8.
Okay, so then it's already at the nearest 10th, correct?
Okay, yes, because there's a number behind.
Can't do anything else with this because there's nothing over here.
Okay.
Now, what if you ended up with 28, just as a whole number, and it said round it to the nearest 10th? What are you going to do there? Not a damn thing.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't change a number to round it. In other words, if you have something there to round it to the nearest 10th, you do. But if you end up with the whole number, you're not going to change your number to make it round to the nearest 10th. Because a lot of times it'll just say that as part of the standard calculation. All right, that doesn't mean every one that says that should, but I'm trying to be very cautious when I'm writing the exams to make sure it doesn't say that unless that's what I actually want from you. So if you run into a problem on a practice test or an exam, you don't get your panties in a bunch, okay? You bring the question to the instructor and you say, I think there's an error here. And if we find an error, we're going to fix it.
Okay.
Kudos to you if you find the error. Because I'm up writing thousands of tests. Not thousands, but it feels like it. Lots of tests at all hours of the night. And again, I'm human. And some of the test questions that I actually take, I try to check the math on all of them, but sometimes I take them from national nursing question banks, and sometimes they're keyed in there wrong. So sometimes if I don't go back and check them all, that can be an issue too. But most of the time, the answers are on point. Sometimes I also forget to change the rationale when I change the numbers because I try not to give you guys the same numbers all the time so you don't memorize it. Because on the exams, you're going to have real math. You probably have already seen some of it. Oh, you guys had exams this week, right? Did you have math on your exam?
Yeah.
All right, let's look at the next one. And the next one is one we already did, right? It says how many units per hour is the patient receiving? So what's the first step in your formula here?
Are we at the 29 ml and the 10,000?
The 36 ml.
Oh, the 36. Okay, I'm sorry.
So what is your first step here?
So we have to see what we have on hand, and what we have on hand.
What's your first step here?
The patient.
You're going to use what you have on hand to calculate what?
How many units per hour will we be administering?
How many units per ml, not per hour? First, you need to know how many units per ml. That's your first step. So where are you going to get that information from?
From the
The
But
12,000
the bag said the
divided
12,000.
the
Yeah.
500 divided by
The 250.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to take the 12,500 and divide it by the 250 because we need to know how many units we have for every ml that we're giving.
Okay. $12,000, Ms. Loesch.
Thank you. My brain is somewhere else today.
It's 9 o'clock on a Sunday. We at work.
Right.
Maybe that's what
250. 250, not 500.
it's like. You got me all messed up, Ms. Loesch.
Right.
I'm glad somebody's paying attention out there, though, and I appreciate it.
I need
All right,
all
so we
this
got
stuff.
12,500 divided by 250, right?
There we go.
Mhm.
All right, there we go.
We get 50.
Okay. So now you're going to take that times how many units we were administering per hour, which I believe it was 36, but let's just go
36.
back
I
and
think it was
double check.
36 too.
Yep. 36.
Okay, it was 36.
1,800.
Mhm.
Okay, correct. So we're giving 1,800 units per hour. All right, you guys do the next one on your own. Remember what your first step is. Okay, give me a second.
I got 2,900.
Okay, good. Let me go back to the whiteboard. So again, this time we had 10,000 per 100, right? Divided by 100. Okay. Everybody go with that one?
Yes.
All right, let's look at the next one. The next one is asking us what flow rate will we set the IV pump at? So what do we need to answer this question? Look at what you have in the problem. First thing you're going to look at, okay, is what does the problem give us? So it gives us the weight.
Yep.
It gives us what we have on hand. And it tells us that the patient is receiving 22 units per kilogram per hour. Okay. So this is again is going to be what formula?
Is it the dose over
Desired over have, right?
overhead? Yes.
Okay, so you can calculate. You already have what's given, which is what? What do we have?
25,000 over 250.
Okay, so we have 25,000 over 250.
129 divided by 2.2. You get 58.
And then if you take your number of units towards your patient's weight, okay, so you got to take the 129 and divide that by the 2.2. And multiply that times your 22. And that will tell you what you're actually running the pump at. So what'd you get for that?
So the 129 pounds converted to 58.63. And when I multiply the what was it? That times the pounds. I don't know what the first number was.
22 units.
22 units. So after I got the 58.63 times the 22 units, I got 1290.
Okay.
Now with Miss Loesch, am I doing the 25,000 over the 250, or am I going 1290 divided by 25,000 times 250?
It's desired over have, right?
Yes. Okay, got it. Okay.
Okay, everybody got that?
12.9.
I'm sorry, the units it was 24, not 22.
It was 24.
It was
Yeah,
24?
yeah, it's 24.
It say 22. It say 22 heparin units, 25,000 by 250. Oh, it's
Which
the
one
one
are you on?
above it. It's the one
We're
above
on
it.
number, this one here, with the 129 pounds.
But they both say
I
it, Miss
thought you
Loesch.
were.
She at the
Okay,
I
bottom
thought
one.
you
this
were
one
doing.
here.
I thought you were doing the one at the bottom because the cursor was right there. I'm sorry.
We are going to do the one at the bottom next, but we're doing this one right now.
Okay, yeah, she's right. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Thank you.
All right, so everybody got 12.9 for that one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, and then we're going to do the last one. So again, the last one is the same setup, right?
Yeah.
Take what is given to you, which is what you have on hand. Then you're going to take your weight and calculate your actual ordered dose.
Times 24. Times 24 is 1407.
Please talk to yourself so you don't mess other people up. Thank you.
I got 1407. 14.07.
I got the same answer, 14.07.
Okay.
That was divided by what? 20, was it 25 by 250?
Yes, 25,000 times 250. Yeah.
Okay, now if I said rounded to the first digit or to the nearest digit to the decimal, what would it be?
14.1.
14.1.
0.
Okay, if I said rounded to the nearest tenth, what would it be?
14.00.
14.
What would it be?
14.1.
14.1. To the nearest decimal and the nearest tenth is the same thing. 14.1. What if I said rounded to the nearest 100?
14.07.
14.07.
14.07. And what about to the nearest whole number?
14.
14. Okay, good.
Mhm.
Okay, here's the next one. Regular insulin. Now, what's this asking you? What rate on the infusion pump will deliver the correct dose? So what is this? Formula. If you're given a dose, what's the formula?
I can't see it.
Can't see the question?
Yeah, it's my phone. I'm sorry.
Okay, so somebody said desired over have. So what do we have on hand?
100 units
Just 100 units?
in 250 ml.
Okay, and what is our ordered dose?
Say that again.
What is our ordered
250.
dose?
20 units.
20 units.
Right, so you're just going to take the 20, put it over the 100 times 250. Desired over have.
You got 50.
Mhm. TML per hour.
Okay, 50 is correct. All right, so it'd be 50 mLs per hour, okay, because units would cross out. All right, let's look at the next one. All right, now this is similar to the one that we were doing earlier, but there's a little difference in this one, okay? This is asking you again, what rate on the infusion pump will set the correct dose? So again, if you were setting the correct dose, what is our formula?
Well,
Hello?
one, we have to change the MCG.
Stop it. I didn't ask you all that. I said,
Oh.
what's the formula?
So we're gonna.
Thank you. Desired over have. Perfect. That's simple. Okay. So if it's desired over have, then you just have to look for the desired dose and what you have on hand. It doesn't matter what's in that question. Okay. What do you have on hand here?
250 milligrams and 250 milliliters.
Okay. Now, your desired dose is going to be 10 micrograms per kilogram per minute, okay? But in order for you to get the actual desired dose, you have to take that times your weight, all right? So the other issue is here, you need to end up with a pump that is set in what? How's your pump going to be set here?
Milliliter per hour.
Right, milliliters per hour. It's always set milliliters per hour, right?
All
right. The problem is, on hand, you have something in milligrams, right? Your desired dose is in micrograms. So you're going to have to convert that. You have to end up in mLs per hour. See, micrograms. I'm sorry, I wasn't using the cursor. And you have to end up in milliliters per hour, and your order is per minute. Okay? So just a couple conversions that you have to do there to get those numbers to where you need them to be. So this is what I want you to write down. I want you to write down what you have on hand. Then I want you to write your weight. And then I want you to write your desired dose, which is 10 micrograms per kilogram per minute. Now we're going to the board. So I'm going to put what I have on hand here. And down here, I always put mLs per hour because I need to know where I have to get to. And that's where I have to get to. My weight is 198. And I have to divide that by 2.2 and multiply that times the order, which is 10 micrograms per kilogram. Come on, stay up there, board. Ah. Sorry, my board's not being cooperative. Okay, let's try this again. All right, this is per kilogram per minute. All right, so my 198 divided by 2.2.
Get 90.
Okay, equals 90. And I'm going to multiply that times my 10 micrograms.
900.
All right, so now we have 900 micrograms per minute. Okay, we have to get to milligrams per hour from this here. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is divide this by 1,000 because that will put my 900 micrograms into milligrams. Again, I'm always leaving everything in the calculator. From the time I start with that weight until I end the problem, I remove nothing. Okay? So that gave me 0.9 milligrams per minute. In order to get minutes to an hour, I have to do what?
Multiply it by 60.
60.
Okay. So I usually just do that in my head, but the other side I have to multiply by 62. So now I'm going to take my 0.9 and multiply it by 60. And now I have 54 milligrams per hour. Okay, milligrams is going to cross out here. And I'll be left with mLs per hour. So now I just got to do the math. And actually, it's 250, 250. So that's going to cancel out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my answer should be
54.
54.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at the next one. Next one is the same way. If I'm setting that infusion pump, I know that I'm setting it in mLs per hour, okay? I see what I have on hand here. And I see an ordered dose here. So this is telling me that this formula is what?
Desired overhead.
Okay. So now all we have to do is we have what we have on hand. So we just have to calculate our desired dose. Hey, shut it up. Come on, go out there with the girls. All right, so write down your what you have on hand, 200 per 250.
Okay.
Your weight
Looking at calculator.
and your ordered dose, which is 5 micrograms per kilogram per minute. I'm gonna put down here what I have on here. Everybody can see the whiteboard. We're gonna end up in mLs per hour. My weight is 215. I'm gonna divide that by my 2.2. And I'm gonna multiply that times my 5 micrograms per kilogram. Per minute. Okay, so that gave me 97.72. I
Times
put the
5.
line here to represent infinity. I just don't put all the numbers up there, but I leave them all in the calculator. And I'm going to multiply that whole number times my 5. And that's going to give me 488.63 infinity. Okay, this is micrograms per minute. We need to divide it by 1,000 to make this milligrams per minute.
0.48863.
And this is milligrams per minute. Now we're going to multiply both sides by 60. That gives me milligrams per hour. This is going to cross out. Take that whole number, divide it by 200, and then multiply it by 250.
Oh, Miss Loesch, that is so hard to say.
Well, if you're on a phone, I can't help you. I'm sorry. You should really be on a computer because I can't adjust the screen to every phone, iPod, and all that.
That's okay.
A lot of times it's on your end, not on mine, because it's sitting right in the center of my screen, and it's. Can everybody else see it? Hello? Is anybody else on here?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can hear.
Oh,
Did you guys
Yes.
all put your name in the chat box so I can give you credit for being here today? Can everybody else see the screen okay?
Yes.
You can see it.
Okay, so maybe on your side, just try to enlarge it or move it up and down a little bit. On a phone, it's going to be really hard. I mean, because the screen's so small. But I'm recording this, okay? So you'll be able to watch it back. Hopefully, I get it up on the site today before the weather starts to kick in. Everybody good with this one? So rounding to the nearest tenth, what would the answer be?
3.6.
36.6.
6.6, excuse me, 36.6.
36.6 or 3.6?
36.6.
6.6.
Okay.
36.
Okay. I still got about 5 people that didn't put their name in. Please, everybody put your name in so you can get credit for being here. All right. Let's look at the next one. Now, this one says the nurse sets the infusion pump at how many mLs per hour to deliver 1,300 units. So your 1,300 units is your what?
your desire.
Right. Because you shouldn't be giving the patient anything else but their desired dose. All right. So if that's your desired dose, look, this question's pretty easy because it gave you what you have on hand, right?
Yep.
And
Divided by
it gave you what the
20,000.
doctor ordered. So this is just desired over have here.
Yep,
I just want
13.
to cross out, okay? 1,300 over 20,000 times 250.
$16.25.
Just cross it out, and that again leaves you with mLs per hour. All right, we got 16.25. Okay. On this one, I know this was similar to one that you might have had on an exam. So on this one, if I didn't tell you how to round it, whether you gave me 16 or 16.3, because if you rounded it to the nearest tenth, it would have had to been 16.3. Or if you kept it here, that would have been also right because that was to the nearest 100. And if I didn't give you a parameter, you would have gotten credit for any one of those three numbers. But usually I give you a parameter for the pump. You can set the pump any one of those ways. You can set it to the nearest 100th. You can set it to the nearest 10th. You can set it to a whole number. Really depends on what drug are we giving. Would we round it up? In a case like this, we might not, because this is insulin. So we might keep it at 6.25. Because if I round it up to 16.3 or even to 16 every time, so 16 would be actually low. I might not give them enough insulin. If I rounded it up every time, I'd be given 0.5 more every time, and that could actually make the patient hypoglycemic or another issue. If it were dopamine or dobutamine or something else, again, I'm giving either too much or not enough of the medication, and that's going to be a problem at some point. All right, see if you can do the next one on your own. This is the one with the insulin on the top, 8 units. What'd you get?
8.
Okay, anybody that didn't get to 8 or is not sure about this still? Okay, how about the next one? What's the formula for the next one?
Desired overhand times quantity.
Desired over have. Now, when I ask you something like this, how many mLs will you administer? Are they asking you for a single dose or a daily dose?
2 times a day, BID.
Is that what they're asking you for? A single dose or a daily dose? Because if you calculate it 2 times a day, then you're calculating a daily dose. What are they asking?
It's asking for a single dose.
Say it again.
It's asking for a single dose because it didn't say how many milliliter will you give in a 24-hour period.
Correct. So it doesn't matter that you're giving it twice a day here. It didn't ask you about that.
Oh, God.
Okay, so you just have to recognize that in the sentence. What'd you get for the answer here? Don't be scared to say the answer. You better be scared on the test.
So, Ms. Lowe's, this is Andrea. I just realized what I was doing wrong with this this problem that you just explained, because what I was doing, because it was saying BID, I was getting the answer then doing it BID. So I'm glad you explained it, because I mean I think this was one of the test questions as well, and I got it wrong just by doing the calculation times 2.
Okay. So this formula would have just been the 7855 divided by the 10,000. And that should have given you 0.7855,
5.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're giving this injection I mean, normally we would round this to the nearest tenth, so what would the answer be?
0.8.
0.8, correct. So you would give 0.8 mLs sub Q here, or units, or whatever you're given. It's mLs because it's separate. All right. So it'd be 0.8 mLs to give that amount of units. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
If not, now's the time to speak up.
Ms.
Sue, can I
Loach,
see
my
that
question
question
is like
again?
what Andrea was saying is the fact of how would I read that question not knowing not to use that 2 times a day? Because the way I read that question,
Twice a
I
day?
would do that.
Did it ask you for twice a day or a daily dose?
But
So let's
I'm
say
just
this
reading
order
what
was
the
written
doctor
in the book.
ordered.
Let's say this order was written in the book, in the nursing unit, and you didn't have what's available on hand. Okay? Let's just say it was written in the book, administer heparin, 7,855 units sub Q BID. How much would you give when you draw it up? You're not going to give 1,400, right?
I'd probably call the doctor and question that order though, to be
Why?
honest with you, because I
Why
don't
would you
understand,
question it?
because if you're telling me the doctor ordered, I think you're asking me what he ordered, like in general, what he ordered.
So what
If
did
he ordered QBID, BID is twice a day.
Right. So you would give 7,855 units at 8 a.m. and at 9 p.m., depending on what your Q 12-hour rotation is. At my facility, if it was sub Q BID, then it would be 9 and 9. So at 9, you would give 7,855, and at 9 again, at night, you would give 7,855. Right? That's how the order reads. Do you understand that? I'm not sure why you call the doctor on this order. Because it's telling you clearly, this is how much you're going to give. Let me just highlight it. For each dose. Now, if it said you were giving 7,855 units for a daily dose, and the order was to administer it twice a day, what would you have to do?
I'm all the way confused. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm not sure which part, just tell me which part you're not understanding.
No, maybe I need to just read that question different. It's me, maybe because you're explaining it. It's just me. So I'm gonna have to, when I'm reading the questions, I'm gonna have to read them.
So when you read this part here, okay, this is telling you how many times a day you're going to give it. Now, let me see if I can find another question.
Okay, so can I say something? I think what they're saying is if the question doesn't ask you within like a 24-hour period, how much would you give for the day? You shouldn't do it.
So you have to look at how the dose is ordered, because sometimes, especially with kid doses, you'll see like give 5 milligrams per kilogram per day. Okay, so when you calculate that dose, you've actually calculated a daily dose, because you're taking the client's weight, right, times that ordered dose of 5 milligrams. Let me just try to put something on the whiteboard so you can see it. Okay, so this one was 7,855 units. And it was ordered sub Q. And it was ordered BID, which means you're going to give each dose twice a day. Okay? The other way they might write it is a cycle for 5 milligrams per kilogram per day. And let's 3 divided doses. Okay, and your patient's weight is, let's say, 78 kilograms. So now you're going to take that 78 and you're going to multiply times the 5 milligrams per kilogram a day. And then you would get 390. You would divide that by 3, and that gives you 130. So for this person, they would get 130 milligrams, okay, every 8 hours, because it's 3 times, right? 3 divided doses. For this one here, you're giving it this is just a single dose here, okay? Because it doesn't say per day. It says you're going to give this amount twice a day. Does that make more sense?
Yeah. Could you go back so I could read that question again? Let me see. But yeah, that makes sense. Go back. Could I read that question? I just want to see how it's written. Okay.
So,
All right.
if you had a more, okay, let me just show you, because if you had a more, this would be like this. Let me get this out of here. Actually, it was heparin, it wasn't insulin, right? It doesn't really matter what the drug is, okay? And then over here on the MAR, where your boxes are, right, you would have like 9 a.m., 9 p.m., because that's how you would mark it out on the MAR. And then every day you would sign for that dose. You would sign for one at 9A, one for 9P. Sometimes the doctor gives you a daily dose. You're still going to administer it 3 times a day. You know what that says, divided. So when you read it like this, what it's really telling you is you're going to give this every 8 hours. But before you can even calculate that, you have to calculate the whole daily dose and then divide it out into those 3. And then you would plot it out onto your medication administration record like that. So you have to know the difference. Whenever it wants a daily dose, it will tell you how much will you administer over a 24-hour period or over a day. When it says over a day, it's talking about a 24-hour period. So if your dose was BID, you would have to calculate those 2 12-hour doses. If it was TID, you'd have to calculate those 3 8-hour doses. I hope that makes more sense. Go back to the question.
No, it does. Thank you. I'm gonna still practice, but yes, thank you.
All right, so that's for that one. Maybe we'll get to another one that looks like that. All right, let's look at the next one. This one here is saying, what would you set your IV pump to at mLs per hour? All right, now I put these in here specifically because I just want you to understand about reading these questions. All right, it's asking you for mLs per hour, and what do you have given in the question? So
we have
what you
minutes.
have on hand, right? which is your 150 per 500. And you know that the doctor ordered the medication at 70 micrograms per minute. Now, all you have to do here is convert, okay? You can see the whiteboard? Yes? Can you see the whiteboard? Hello?
Yes, we can see.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I can see.
Yes, Ms. Loach.
Okay, so in order to do this, what do you have to do? Because you're going to end up with this. So what do you need to do here?
Convert.
Okay, so you're going to
So
convert this
70.
by dividing it by 1,000, right?
1,000.
And that will
You
make
get
it milligrams.
0.07.
Mm-hmm.
Zero 0.07.
And now we have to multiply both sides by 60, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that
Okay.
gives you
All right.
4.2 milligrams per hour. And now you'll end up with mLs per hour because it's going to cross out. Somebody ask a question?
Was it 150 or 500? The question.
Thought it was 150 milligram per
150.
500, but let me go back and double check.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on a minute.
I have 150 milligrams per 500 ml.
Yes. 500. No. 150. Oh,
All right, did everybody get to 14 on that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Again, I just put these on here, these couple ones, because I wanted you to see, all right, about reading the question and doing the conversion. The next one's the same way. See if you can do it on your own. When you set it up, you're setting your pump at mLs per hour, so that means it's going to be desired overhead because you have what you have on hand here and you have a desired dose. You just have to recognize your desired dose is different from what you need, so you have to convert there. Everybody got their numbers?
Ms. Lowe's, can you shut the chewing or shut the mic off?
All right, so should have ended up here with 10 mLs per hour. Is that what you got?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, look at the next one. Now, what's different about this one and the other ones you've been doing? What's this asking you at the end of the statement?
Hours.
It's asking you what you would set your pump to in mLs per hour. What's different about this one versus the other ones that you did? What is this statement missing? It tells you what you have on hand, right? What doesn't it tell you?
The
You got
actual
a motor?
order?
Okay, but it does give you something else, right? It gives you a total volume. And it gives you a total time in minutes.
Minutes.
So this means that you're going to have to calculate your mLs per hour using your volume. And really, it's mLs per hour, so you need your time in what?
Hours.
In hours.
Correct. So your total volume here is 50 mLs. Your time is 30 minutes. I do it like this. You can also do it like this. 30 minutes is 0.5 of an hour. But I just like to keep it simple, one method. What'd you got? You got 100. Did you?
Go for 1.6.
Yeah, I got 100.
Yes, 100 miles an hour.
Damn it. Okay.
You got something besides that? Try the math again.
So Miss Loesch, in my computer, it's 99.9. So but it didn't say rounded. So, but it is.
But you would round it up.
You would round it up.
And you
okay.
must have did the math 50 divided by 0.5.
Actually, I did it the opposite. I did the 50 over 30 times 60. So I guess that's how I get the 99.9.
Maybe you need to change whatever mode you're in your calculator, because if you're in a scientific mode, it's going to give you the wrong answer. You have to be in a basic calculator mode.
It is. It's the dollar store one.
All right.
They give me 99.9999 infinity.
Even when you did it this way.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly how I have it. The 50 over divided by 30 times the 60. And it gives me 99.999 infinity in the calculator that I'm using.
Yeah, I don't understand how, but my calculator gave me 100 even no matter which way I did it. So I'm not sure why the calculator is giving you that reading.
I don't know.
Try it in your phone. Do you have a calculator in your phone?
Yeah. And that's the thing too. If well, I guess the school provides.
When you're using the calculator at the school, you need to use the friendly classic mode and use a mouse and click on the numbers on the actual calculator. Do not use the keyboard on the computer. I would suggest you bring either a hardwired mouse or a wireless mouse and use that when you're doing the math. All right, Let's go back to the questions and let's see what else we got up here. All right, here's another one. You remember how to do it? Doing the dopamine one. So what's the formula for this? Don't everybody speak up at once. Be wrong now. Don't be
MLs
wrong
per
on the
hour.
test.
mLs per hour.
What's the formula?
Desire over half.
0.5.
Thank
Oh,
you.
desire.
Desired over a half. And it gave you what you have on hand, right?
Mhm.
All you have to do is take your weight and calculate your desired dose. The only thing you have to remember is it's going to give you micrograms per minute when you calculate that dose. So you then have to convert that to milligrams per hour. And then you can take it right over what you have on hand. See if you can do the math on your own. And then I'm going to give you a couple minutes and then I'm going to calculate it out so that you can see it to see if you did the right steps.
Whoever eating, can you please mute yourself, please?
Okay, was everybody able to get to there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, anybody who couldn't get to there? Okay, let's look at the next one. Again, look at what the question asked you. So what's the formula here? You're not quite sure. Look at what's in the statement. What were you given? What's your formula? Come on, don't be scared. Get it now. What's your formula here? You guys know this. You're given a dose. What's your formula?
Desired over half.
Okay. It gave you what you have, right? And it gave you a desired dose. We got 50 units times 93 equals 4,650 units per hour. The desired, they ordered, what we found out was 5,000 units, sorry, per ml. That what
Ms.
you
Lowe's,
guys
can you go
got?
back to the problem? Yeah, can you just go back to the problem, the computerized problem?
Now, that one I would have told you what to do, whether to round it to the nearest tenth or not, okay?
Okay.
Was everybody able to get to the 0.93? You guys don't talk. I don't know if you're getting it or not. So I feel like it's a
Yeah,
waste
you
of
just
time if
50.
you're not
Yes.
responding. I don't know what you're
Yes.
doing or what you're not doing if you don't answer.
Yes, the 50 times the 93, we don't have to change it because it's not asking us to convert it to pounds. So basically we'll keep the formula the same. The 50 times the 93. You get,
Stop right there. Why are you not converting the weight here?
because it's already in kilograms.
Right.
So it's just straight across. The 50 times the
Correct.
93 gives, yeah.
I just want to make sure you understand that because you said it a little funky. So I want you to understand that there would be no reason here because it's already in kilograms. You don't need to convert.
Yes.
So again, you're looking at what every little thing is in that statement. Is it in a form you can use it in? If not, then you have to convert. Look at the next one. Now we just did a ton of these. Let's see if you can get the right answer here. Again, what is your formula?
Desired over half.
And you can tell that's your formula because everything that you need to solve that is in there for a desired over half, right? You have your desired dose, which is this, times your weight. You have what you have on hand. Make sure you write your numbers down because I'm going to flip out of this screen.
Yeah. Yep. How's he doing?
Please mute yourself.
Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, times 30. Sorry, that should be 30, not 4. All right, this one you would round up to what? 61, because this is gonna round that, so it's gonna round up to 61 mLs per hour. Is that what everybody got? 60.95?
Yes.
And I would have told you that on the question to round it up.
Okay.
All right, look at this next one, 20 units a kilogram. Again, what is the formula for this question?
Diet overhead.
Okay. So it gives you what you have right here. All you have to do is calculate your desired dose.
So 20 times 87 times 60 divided
Stop
by
it.
100.
Stop it. That's why I don't like you to say it out loud. Because then you may confuse somebody else. Do the math
Is it
first, okay? Why would you
17.4?
multiply by 60 here? Nurse, why would you multiply by 60?
I can't see the problem anymore.
I took it back.
Okay.
Do you need to multiply by 60 here?
No, because it's
You
Oh,
extra.
it's not an
have
hour. It's
per
not
hour,
asking.
right?
It's already the hour, yes.
Yes,
Is
it's
it
already
17.4?
ordered per hour. So that's where I need you to really look in, really hone in. Okay, kilograms doesn't need conversion here. Time doesn't need conversion here.
Mhm.
This is why you have to practice, because you really have to hone in on these questions onto what exactly does it want from me.
Miss Loach, I have a question. Are we getting anything new on the test tomorrow that we should know about?
No,
Okay.
it's going to be the
Thank you.
same questions you had for practice, the same questions if you already had a dosage calc.
Okay.
The numbers
All
will
right.
be different. Maybe the medication will be different, but the math will be the exact same math, what we're doing here.
Okay. All right.
The
Just
only thing
making
that
sure.
you'll see besides here is, let me just look at, let me just stop this for a second. You have to do an I and O.
Okay.
You should be able to read a sliding scale and administer insulin. It's a basic sliding scale.
Mm-hmm.
Drop factors. Let me just go through these questions here, because this is the practice test. So MedSurge and Geri are very similar in what you're going to see in the questions.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only difference is MedSurge, you'll see a little bit more about insulin, whereas with Geri, it's mostly heparin. Okay, look at this practice question. Now, how do you set this problem up?
Desired overhead.
Right, which is what we've been doing, right?
Yes.
This take you all of 10 seconds. 4,200 divided by 5,000, right?
Yes.
I don't want you to rush to do it, but I'm just saying these questions are very doable. You just have to read them, and you guys rush. You get yourself in a panic, and you don't read it. And I'm giving you guys an hour to take the test for 15 questions.
Yeah.
So just slow down and take your time and read the questions. Because really, you guys aren't reading. Most of the mistakes you make are you didn't round it like you were supposed to.
Yeah.
All right. Was everybody able to get 0.8 on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Look at the next one. Again, this is asking how much medication will the nurse prepare to administer? What kind of question is that? What's the formula? What's the formula, nurse? If you're administering a
Is
dose,
this the
what is the formula?
reconstitution? Is it reconstitution?
Is it reconstitution? Where in there does it say reconstitution?
It's the desired over half.
Oh,
So you
desired
times
It
it,
said
right?
over half.
Right,
Yeah,
it's
desired
desired
over
over half. Now, what do you need to solve this?
The order.
Okay, what's the order?
4,000
400,000.
unit divide by 300,000 times 0.5.
Five.
Okay,
Yes.
you don't need that 10 ml. You just take
No.
what your order dose is over what you have on hand. Again, you have to be able to see that when you read the question. You'll see some of these. How many units is in that syringe?
30.
30 units.
Okay, you see this is an insulin syringe. You notice that it goes in ones, right? Every hash
Yes.
mark on there is equal to 1 unit. Everybody understand what I just said?
Yes.
If you don't, speak up.
Yes, yes.
What's the formula for this one? I don't care if you see
3,000.
the answer, because the answer is no good to you if you don't know the formula.
3,000.
No,
divided
stop
by-
it, nurse. I didn't ask for numbers. I said, what's the formula?
Desired over half.
It is not desired over half.
GGT per minute.
GTT.
What's the formula?
I'm not good at naming the formulas, but I know how to.
Okay, so when you solve this, what do?
3,000. I would do 3,000 divided
So,
by
okay, stop right
2880.
there. Why do you take 3,000? What is that representative of?
You gotta
And
The 3
convert it.
liters. The 3 liters.
It's representative of your total volume.
Yeah, I'm not good at the
You need your
volume.
total volume
Mhm.
over what? What do you put that volume over?
Time.
The time.
Okay.
The time.
Total time in minutes, which on this case would be what?
2880.
2880 times your drip factor, which whenever you have a micro drip or a PD drip, it's always
60.
60.
60. And it's always the
Whole
answer is
number.
always
Whole number.
okay, so that's your formula. Total volume over total time in minutes times the drop factor, always a whole number. If I didn't put this there and you didn't give me a whole number, I would mark it wrong. Because that's part of the formula and you should automatically know that. You can't get part of a drop.
So what's the name of this formula? Volume over time?
It's called drop factor.
Drop factor. Okay.
But when I ask you the formula, I want you to actually tell me it's total volume over total time in minutes times the drop factor, always a whole number. That's what I'm asking. That's what I want to hear. Because that tells me you know entirely how to set this problem up and solve it.
Okay.
And so when you read any statement in a question, like as soon as you read this here, that should right away tell you that's the formula. It's the drop factor formula, which is total volume over total time in minutes times the drop factor, always a whole number. Again, another drop factor, right? So what's the formula?
Volume
Total volume.
over time.
That's not the formula. What's the formula? You were close, but not quite.
Drop factor.
Is it drop factor?
Drop factor.
What's the drop factor mean?
Total
GPT
volume
per
of
minute.
time in minutes times whatever, GTT, whatever. Times
Times
drip
whatever?
factor.
Times whatever,
GGT per
nurse?
minute.
Total volume over total time in minutes times the drop factor. Always
Times
a whole
the
number.
factor.
That's the formula. All right, so here it tells you what to give on the sliding scale. It gives you the insulin for the sliding scale, and it also tells you which patient's blood sugar is and what the order is. These are fairly simple ones, okay? When you get into Med Surg 2, you're going to have to add, the insulins together. But for these, you're just reading the sliding scale and you're administering based on that. Because that's what it says, right? You have an order to give this 2 to 12 units subcutaneous 3 times a day with meals. So this is just a sliding scale. When would you do this?
It was
You
bloody.
take the insulin.
When do you think you would use this? The way it's written here.
Wouldn't it be before meals?
But I'm saying, what kind of patients do you think you would need this for?
Diabetic.
Oh,
Diabetic.
diabetics.
All right, guys. So sliding scales, a lot of times, like your patients in the hospital and they're not insulin dependent, but they're in the hospital now and they're under a lot of stress. You may see a lot of orders like this because we're just giving them coverage because really they might be borderline diabetic, but not insulin dependent. But because they're in the hospital now, they need insulin. So a lot of times you'll see it written like this because they're just getting the sliding scale coverage. But usually if they're insulin dependent, you'll see this plus something else ordered. That's just all I was trying to get to, is to make you understand that critical thinking. When would you be doing this most of the time? Some patients are just borderline and maybe they don't need insulin all the time. So the doc has them checked 4 times a day. And if they do need it, they'll just take the sliding scale also. All right, I just want you to understand what the concept is there because that can help you with the math, whether you believe it or not. If you understand the concepts, why you're giving it, when you're giving it. All right, so this one's basically the same way. Your blood sugar is 402 here. So how many units are you going to get?
12.
Right. And you would just look in here to see, is there any other insulin ordered? But there's not. It's just this sliding scale. INOs, you guys know how to do that. I'm going to go through the INO questions today that are on the test and try to make sure. I'm going to actually go through all the answers again on the test. Try to make sure everything's where it needs to be. So that it doesn't mark anything wrong that you got right. Any questions on INO? Everybody knows that ice is half, right? So this says 2 cups of ice. That would be equal to 8 ounces or 1 cup. Everybody understand that?
Yes.
Yes.
Make sure you look at your IV fluids, that you calculate the number of hours that it went.
Yep, because that's what got me the last time.
The what?
I wasn't paying
Ms. Loach,
attention
are
to
you
the
going
times
to
4
send
hours.
this? 'Cause I'm at work. I gotta hang up. Are you gonna send this like video?
The video will go out as soon as it uploads.
Okay.
All right, you
Miss
might
Lo-
see something like this for Med Surg, okay?
Miss Lowe's, can I say something real quick?
Yes.
I have to go myself. So I understand that there was an email that was sent out about changing the MFA password. So now my email is locked, so I can't get in it. So I was planning on coming on campus tomorrow to see if you could help me with it.
I mean, if you just stay, unless you got to get off, if you just stay on, I can get you on. You have Google Authenticator on your phone?
No.
All right, and you have to go because you have to work or whatever. All right, well, try to come in
Can
early.
can I call you? Can I call you in the morning, please? Are you? Can I text you to see if you're available? Because there's another issue that I'm having with my care plan. That I was told you're the only one who could fix it for me.
Is it something
that's
to
what I
do with Microsoft Office?
So there's an insertion bar that's there that's
All right.
asking for me to insert a picture, which I don't have. It's not. That's not what is required. So they're saying that I
Should
have
need
to
a
come to
picture
you
there.
for
All
that.
right, call me in the morning.
All right, I'll send you a text. Thank you.
All right, everybody know how to do these ones here. Number 9.
Yes.
Can you go over that one for me, please?
Yes.
Okay, so this is asking you for the IV completion time. So in order for you to do that, you have to calculate the number of hours that it's going to take for the IV to complete. Okay, you know that it was restarted at 5:30, and that's 5:30 a.m. because of the way it's written, right? In military time, 0530 equals 5:30 a.m. and it's going at 50 mLs per hour. Okay, if we go at the top of the question here, it says that we had 1750, but it infiltrated, and when it infiltrated, only 550 was left in the bag. So that's all we have left to infuse. We have 550 left to infuse. We know it's going at 50 mLs an hour. So if we take 550 and divide it by 50, you should get 11, right?
Yes. I got 11.
Okay, and if it was restarted at 5:30 a.m. and we added 12 hours, that would be 5:30 p.m. So if we subtract an hour, that would be 4:30 p.m., which in military time is what? 16:30, right?
Yeah, 16:3.
Any questions on that?
I don't think.
Here's another one. Now, again, this is asking you for mLs per hour, and it's asking you the hourly rate. But what does the question actually give you that you can use? That's going to tell you how to solve it.
Desired over
It
half.
gives you your volume, right? And it gives you what? What else?
The time.
Minute.
The time. So
The
this is going to
time.
be volume over time. Okay? But the problem is your time is in what? Minutes.
Minutes.
And you need mLs per hour.
Hour.
So for this one, again, I'm going right back to that formula. 240 divided by 80 times 60. That's how I'm going to convert. I multiply my answer by 60. And I got 180 there. Okay? If you took 80 and divided it by 60, you would get 1.33. And you have to use all the threes here, guys. Whatever it is. I think there's like 9 of them there, or 10 of them. And then if you took the 240 and divided it by that, that would also give you the same answer. That's where you're using it in an actual hourly format. I just think it's easier to do it this way. Okay, or you can take 240 and divide it by this because this is your fraction of an hour here. How did I get that? I took 80 and divided it by 60. You'll get the same answer. It boils down to how do you want to do the math? How do you like to do it? because there are a multitude of formulas. It doesn't matter which one you use. What it matters is that you use the right one and you got the right answer. All right, so everybody was able to get that answer, 180? Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, here's another one. On this one, you have to calculate the IV flow rate and the IV piggyback rate. See if you can do them both. Anybody still calculating? All right, what'd you guys get for the first one? Don't be scared. Be scared on the test.
50
Okay, what'd
ml
you
per
get for the
hour,
second one?
333.
Okay, second one's 200.
Oh, wait a minute.
Did you use the 250?
Oh, sorry, I used the wrong number.
Okay, make sure that it has mLs next to it. So everybody else got 50 and 200?
Yes, 50 and 200.
Okay, that was right. All right, this is a reconcentration or reconstitution. Sorry, reconcentration. That's what I need this morning. Reconcentration. My brain. All right, so when you do these, whatever your final concentration is, or your final supply, or your on-hand supply, that's what you have. That is what you have on hand. This is desired over have. What's your ordered dose?
One
What's your
million.
ordered dose for this question?
Is it 1 million?
Okay, and you have 5 million per ml on hand
Mm-hmm.
because that's your final concentration. So really, you can just take 1 and divide by 5 here because the zeros cross themselves out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what'd you get?
I got 0.2.
Okay,
Mhm.
have confidence. This rationale here is wrong, but the answer was right. Okay, this is just 1 million divided by 5 million.
Miss Loesch, I have a question.
Yes.
I be kind of like tripped up on when it be saying like to round to like the nearest tenth. Could you like kind of like explain it to me, please?
Okay. Let's see, that's a whole number. All right, let's
That was
look
to
at
the
this
nearest
one
10.
here. Look at this one here, number 14. Okay, so let's do the math here, and then we're going to look at your nearest tenth once we do the math here, okay? So this is asking you how many mLs you're going to give per dose. So right away, this tells you what the formula is. What is the formula? For per dose. Come on, nurses, you know this. What's the formula? If you're given a dose, what's the formula?
Desired overhead.
Desired over
Divided
here.
over half. Okay? So have your on hand, which is 250 per 3 mLs. And then you have to take the 98 times the 50 to get the desired amount.
It's 4,900 for the 50 times the 98, right?
Okay, and then we had 250 for 3 ml, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this gave us our answer, okay? So if it said rounded to the nearest decimal or rounded to the nearest tenth, that's going to be this place. All right, this was our actual answer, but let's say our answer was this. Okay, this is the 1,000th. This is 100th. This is the 10th, but also on a lot of test questions, they'll call it the nearest 10th. I think that they do that on some of your exams, or the nearest decimal. So whenever they're saying that, that's this number. All right, now this number dictates what this number is going to do. So this is a 5 or higher, and I say rounded to the nearest whole number, that would change this 8 to a 9. If I'm saying rounded to the nearest tenth, the 7 is going to dictate it. All right. On this case, you ended up with 58.8. It's already in the nearest tenth. Okay, so you don't do anything to it. But if you ended up with numbers behind it, then you would have to use this 7 here to determine what this number is going to do. So if there had been a 7 there, that would have changed it to 58.9. Same thing. This number changes this number. So if I said round it to the nearest hundredth, then the answer would be 58.88 based on the number you see in the box. Okay, if I had said round it to the nearest hundred, and this is the number that you have, that would be your answer because you don't have anything else. But I try not to do that. I try not to tell you guys to round it to the nearest tenth or the nearest 100 unless that's the way the problem's going to end. But you may see that on some answers because that's a standard thing they write on nursing questions. That doesn't mean you change it to that, okay? If that's your number, 58.8, it's already in the nearest tenth. If you had 58 and it said round to the nearest tenth and that was your answer, you wouldn't change this number to try to make it to the nearest tenth.
Okay.
All right, let's try another one with the reconstitution. So you guys see the questionnaire. Everybody good with these? Whatever your final concentration is what you have on hand. And the question right here says, how many mLs will you administer for 1 dose? So that tells you right there that the formula is what?
Desired over half.
Desired over half. Here's your desired dose. And this is what you have on hand, your final concentration. So everybody able to get 7?
Yes.
All right, look at the next one. Again, this is saying the nurse prepares how many micrograms of digoxin to administer to the client at each dose. So what kind of formula are we using here? We're given a dose. What's the formula?
Desired over half.
Right, that should be automatic as soon as you hear that word. Okay, you have what you have on hand. What is it? Actually, you don't even need what you have on hand here, right? For this one. So go back and look at the question again. The question is asking us how many micrograms to administer at each dose, not mLs here, right? So all we need here is our weight and our desired dose, which is the 2 micrograms per kilogram per day. So all you're going to do here is take that 2.5 micrograms and multiply it by your weight. But the first thing you have to do is what with that weight?
Convert.
Convert it.
Okay, so 190 divided by 2.2, and then you're gonna multiply that times your 2.5. Now, what else do you notice in here? Because this is something we were talking about earlier. Look at the order here. It's written
It says
2.5 micrograms per kilogram per what?
day, yeah.
And you're giving it twice daily. So whatever you calculate here is a daily dose. When you take that times that 190, that 215.90 you got, that is a daily dose. So now you have to divide that by how many times you're giving it a day, which is what?
Two.
Two.
So each dose is going to come out to 107.95. Now, if you're rounding it to the nearest whole number, what would that be?
108.
108. What if you were rounding it to the nearest 10? It's tricky there, right?
Be like 110. I don't know.
What
Yeah,
did you
it's
say?
still going to be 108 because that 9 is going to automatically round up because of where that 5 is. A little tricky there. That's why I just had you round it to the nearest whole number.
Ms. Loesch, will the questions be like the same type of formula?
It's going to be the same exact formulas. It's going to be the same exact math. The only thing that's going to change is the actual question or the math itself. So
Okay.
like the numbers in the math. Like instead of 190, I might give you 150 pounds. Instead of 2.5 micrograms, I might give you 6.
Why you do that?
Because I don't want you memorizing the numbers and turning them into the answers. I
Okay.
want to make sure you know how to do the math. You're going to need to know how to do the math for now and when you get to med search too.
Okay.
Don't put any day ones on there.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to go through the test today, but you just have to read. It comes down to reading, guys. You got to read because if you don't, I mean, this is how people make med errors on the job. They don't read. You got to read the order. All right. So anybody have any other questions about anything that we didn't go over? And did everybody put your name in the chat box for me so you can get credit for today? All right. If nobody has any other questions, then I'm going to end the session. Anything else that anybody didn't feel like I covered?
Mrs. Loesch, you did cover everything. However, I do have a question. When I'm calculating the, for example, the INOs, or I'm always an hour off with, yes, for example, for this question number 9, like the answer is 11 hours, but I would have like 10 hours. I'm always like an hour off.
I mean, you really just have to go back, double check. That's why I'm giving you guys 60 minutes to do these. And I may simplify the INOs a little bit more on these, but that's why I'm giving you an hour to do these questions. You only have 15 questions. So some of them are fairly simple, right? You should be able to go right through the math on them.
Yes.
So, you got to slow down, take your time, and double check. You see how in the beginning I made a couple of errors because I was rushing. I'm not thinking. I'm just talking and going through. And you really want to go back and double check everything. Just make sure you calculated everything, that you used what you needed from out of the question, and that you didn't use things that you didn't need.
Okay.
And that really takes practice of what do I need to take out of this question. First, I always start with what the question's asking me. And that tells me what to take out of it.
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, if you just do simple calculation mistakes, there's really no way for me to fix that. I'm trying to make sure that the questions, and I think that you could probably attest to the fact that the questions have gotten a lot more straightforward. They're a lot more uniform now.
Yes.
Mostly, I'm getting most of the things in there when you're supposed to round. Now I just have to work on making sure that the answers and the rationales are always 100% right. So that part I'm also working on, because I know sometimes occasionally you guys do get a wrong answer, or the answer's right, the rationale is not right. You're like, oh, can you change the question? I forgot to change the rationale. You also won't be able to see the test questions when you do the actual test. You'll only be able to see your percentage, and then your instructors will go over the questions with you in class, or you can come to my office and meet with me, or meet with your instructor one-on-one to get a little more in depth to the questions. But I don't want to expose the questions from the test bank, because I don't want to have to rewrite them. It's a lot of work.
Thank you.
Right? Other questions? Everybody was able to get into the other practice math that I posted for Med Search, because a lot of them only had one practice. It was the same password and review code, and it's up until tomorrow sometime. All right. All right, guys, I'm going to close
Yes.
out, and as soon as
Thank
the
you,
recording
Ms.
is
Lil.
done
Thank
converting,
you.
then I'll try to post it on YouTube and send you guys the link.
All
Same.
right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks.